Hi everyone, my name is Gareth and I was diagnosed with PSC in August 2016. I'm currently on a drug trial. I started almost 3 months ago, and Martine asked if I wouldn't mind sharing my experience so far from a patient's perspective. What started on the day I got home and I was diagnosed, I became, like many of you, obsessive PSC researchers. And I read that there was no readily available treatment or cure that could slow or halt the progression of the disease. And the only way really that I could think that could give me the opportunity to do this was to sign up for a clinical trial. That way, we would be trialing new medications that may or may not work, but at least it would give me the opportunity and slight possibility of slowing it down. I wasn't really looking for a cure as such, but I was looking for something to slow it down enough until a cure was found. And it was literally the day after I was diagnosed. I can remember texting my wife saying, I've come across this phase 2 clinical trial that had some positive results. And when the phase 3 study becomes available, that's the one that I'll be looking to sign up for. The phase 3 study, which I'm on at the moment, if I remember correctly, the first time I realized that was soon to become available was on the PSC Support UK Facebook page. What I used to also do was Google or use the clinicaltrials.gov website, searching for PSC related clinical trials. But there is also a list of current studies on the PSC support website as well, which I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on. As soon as I realized it was soon to open in the UK and in a location that was nearby, it wasn't my actual hospital. I was being seen in Kirkcaldy in Fife in Scotland, and the drug trial is going to take place in Edinburgh, which isn't too far. So initially I informed my consultant that this was a study that I'd been monitoring for the last couple of years, and it was something I was keen to get on if I could and if I was eligible. I appreciated though that my consultant was very busy, and this was something that I was keen to get moving quite quickly. So I also actually made contact with the study doctor directly. He responded to my email within a day or two to say they hadn't actually started recruiting in Edinburgh at that moment in time, but they would be within the next month or so. A month passed, the study doctor made contact just to check whether I was still interested, which I was. He set up a call, he gave me a ring, and he spoke me through the phase 2 results. And he also just gave me some information about what the study would entail. He arranged for a pack to be sent out, a patient's information pack, which was quite useful. And we set up the initial visit with the study doctor and the research nurse. The activities involved, once you've signed up for a clinical trial, at least from my experience so far, included an initial screening visit, baseline visits, and interim visits. My consultant and my study doctor had actually been in touch before my initial screening visit, so the study doctor had a pretty good idea that I would be eligible based on what he had seen. That first appointment probably took around 2 to 3 hours. It included lots of questions, both coming from myself but also from the study doctor. Patient's assessment of itch, patient's assessment of fatigue, quality of life questions, and lots of tests. For example, blood tests, ECG, FibroScan. I think it should have included an ultrasound scan, but I'd had one very recently before, so they were able to use that. Urine sample, weight, temperature, that type of thing. One of the eligibility criteria was a liver biopsy, and I had never had that tested before. But my consultant, or study doctor, beg your pardon, wanted to make sure that there was no other reason why I wouldn't be eligible first before booking me in for the liver biopsy, which makes sense. Thankfully, all of it came back clear. The liver biopsy was booked in, and if I'm honest, I've had quite a lot of procedures in the past. So I've had 6 CRCPs, various other procedures, but this was one that for some reason made me nervous, most likely because the size of the needle and the thought of it. But I think it's just a scary thought. The actual procedure itself was totally painless. I couldn't feel the needle going in. I had a little bit of shoulder pain afterwards for probably 30 minutes, but paracetamol sorted that out. And you have to lie on a bed for a couple of hours, so you would need a day off work. There are obviously risks involved, so it's always worth considering these risks, like any procedure you would have, and speak to your doctor about that. But even had the risks been more significant or the procedure had been worse, it wouldn't have stopped me from wanting to go ahead with this trial, because the thought of giving myself the slightest opportunity to improve my current situation or halt or slow the progression of the disease would outweigh probably any one-off procedures I'd need to go through. I was eligible, thankfully, which meant my next visit was a baseline visit. I think that was probably about a month later. Again, you're carrying out very similar tests to that first visit. It just allows the researchers to have baseline to work from at the end of the study or halfway through the study. It probably took a little bit less time overall, 2 hours I would say, but again, I'm a patient that likes to ask a lot of questions, so it might be a lot quicker for some of you. I was prescribed the placebo or medication at that visit to start taking the following morning. I would go back to hospital every 2 weeks for the first 2 months, followed by a 1 month break to finish off the 3-month period. After the 3 months, my visits become every 3 months for the next 2 years, but I am on quite a long study at the moment compared to some of the other studies out there at the moment. So the number of visits you have and the time before your next visit might be totally different. The activities involved haven't put me off this trial or any other future trials that I'd be looking to sign up to. What I'd say to other PSC patients who may be considering signing up for a clinical trial is PSC already takes so much away from us. Usually we're having to react to changing symptoms or worsening of the condition, but by signing up for a clinical trial, what we're doing is we're taking back some of that control. We're trying to be proactive in helping to support finding a cure or treatment, and I really believe that us as PSC patients, we have that responsibility to help try find a treatment that works. One of the problems with studying PSC is, as you know, it's very rare. So the more participants we can get in these studies, the better quality of data the researchers will have. But also, hopefully it would help some of the studies complete a lot faster. So rather than staying open for a couple of months while they're trying to recruit the minimum number of participants, they could hopefully recruit them a lot quicker and get the study kicked off a lot faster than currently is happening. The way I've tried to look at it in my specific situation is the study I'm on is I could be receiving the placebo or I could be receiving the medication, but regardless, what I am receiving for sure is a lot of monitoring. I'm in much closer contact with the study doctor than I am with my current consultant, for example, every 2 weeks rather than once every 6 months or once every couple of months. So that alone is a massive benefit to me. There is, of course, a chance that I get the actual medication, which may have some positive impact. It might slow the disease, it might halt it, there may be some little bit of positive improvement, which I wouldn't have had if I hadn't signed up for this trial. Again, that's another massive pro for me. And ultimately, the findings of the study and the data they gather from the study will help find a treatment in the long run. So even if this particular study doesn't help me, I know that the learnings they gain from it will hopefully help find a treatment or cure in the future. Of course, all studies, there's going to have some kind of risk of adverse events or adverse symptoms. So it's always worth considering these, of course, and speaking to them with your consultant or the study doctor before going ahead with any of the clinical trials. But if you can, I would definitely recommend trying to sign up for a clinical trial. I think it's only going to benefit you in the long run and in the short term with the extra monitoring. So that's what I would definitely be recommending. Thanks so much for listening to me today, guys. I am relatively active on the PSC support Facebook page, so if you do have any questions, you can come to me directly, or I'm on Twitter as well, Gareth Weeks. So thanks again for listening. Have a great day. Cheerio.